have been the fastest growing nation on the
Yep.
planet for decades, or at least the last several years, but I think you should be the fastest growing for the next 10 or 20 years. And I think your prime minister has actually done a terrific job, but politics is hard. You've got to get things through Congress, et cetera. So I think the GST reform is excellent, corporate tax reform is excellent, bankruptcy reform is desperately needed, but obviously infrastructure, and I know you have the huge new infrastructure program now, your biometric system is good. These things will help drive growth for a long time, and I know there's another whole long list relating to merging some of the banks and state-owned enterprise. Those are necessary, and I wish him really well.
You know, you spoke of one of the things that's been done recently by the government, and that is to bring down corporate taxes.
Yeah.
Now, there's two arguments that that's not necessarily the best thing to get India out of a demand slowdown. And what's the experience been like in the U.S. because President Trump did this big corporate tax cut and the impact of that on the economy?
Yeah, I look at this differently. If you want to grow maximize the growth of your economy, you should have a very competitive corporate tax rate. If you don't have a competitive tax rate, at the margin, capital go elsewhere. And I look at that as a sine qua non. So in the United States, $1 trillion was retained or came back. CapEx did go way up. It's been coming down now, I think mostly because of trade-related things. But I look at that as a sine qua non. It's a bad idea to have a tax rate higher than everybody else. And so I think it's very important to do it. It's not, will it change every decision? No. But will it, at the margin, help capital come to this country or be retained here? Absolutely.
So speaking of capital coming into the country, in the context of the current trade dispute between the U.S. and China, do you believe that India is likely to be a big beneficiary?
I think they should. And if I was the...
You're sounding tentative.
Well, no, I think the government has to gear up and say, how are we going to make ourselves more attractive to the supply lines that people, when they have to choose between, Brazil, Mexico, China, India, how do you make yourself more attractive to India? So, and I know they're doing it. So I do think that gives India a much bigger opportunity than they would have had otherwise.
Just linked to that, as a banker, I'm asking you this question, and you've probably heard from your team here in India. The fact is that we've seen credit growth slowing down, in fact, coming in at its lowest level in about 2 years. And banks are grappling with what needs to be done at this point in time. The Reserve Bank has cut rates by 135 basis points. There's questions on why we haven't seen the transmission adequate to what the cuts have been on the repo. But as a banker, how do you look at this problem?
I think people make a mistake thinking that you push or pull interest rates, that changes everything. So very often interest rates are a reflection of what's going on in the economy. And of course, companies that borrow money when they need to borrow. So growth actually drives borrowing. Their demand book drives borrowing, and if things slow down, they're actually will go down. But having said that, reducing rates can help too. It's one of the tools that can help an economy grow a little bit faster.
Hi, I'm Emily Tan, and thanks for watching CNBC. You can check out more of our videos by clicking on the boxes on the screen, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more. Thanks for watching.